Hello there, it's Trisha, and I want to tell you a little bit about the Muse Yoga Mat and the original art that's connected to the Muse. I don't have this painting, it belongs to my parents. So I'm going to screen share on my computer with you and tell you a little bit about the original art. And then we'll get into, if you're wondering about whether or not to get this Muse Yoga Mat, I'm going to go into the intention and the mantra that's on the mat. And a little bit about the archetype so you can decide whether or not it's for you. And then I will tell you a little bit about how you can use the mantra and the yoga mat in your movement practice. So here we go. I'm going to share this screen here. So this is the original art that the Muse Yoga Mat is based on. And I did this painting. It was actually the first painting that I did on an acrylic canvas. And let me see if I can move this over here. I did it to procrastinate. I had just started painting and someone offered me a large sum of money to paint their girlfriend at the time. And I was scared to death. So I took a class and I painted this painting instead. This painting, the class was called The Muse, and this painting came through just to tell me, just relax, you got this. So I used to play the flute in grade school. So the Muse playing a flute, it's an elemental influence that's just kind of come through and it's very playful and wonderful. But something else is also happening here. It's coming through space. So the element of space is here. This is the element of water coming through, and it's mixing with the element of fire. And what is so coincidental about this is that I was a fire fairy one year, and I made a pair of fairy wings that looked like this. So it was interesting that these wings came through. And if you do archetypal art or start working with archetypes, you will see reoccurring themes coming through in your work. And it's really fun. And also you get to understand they have a symbolic meaning to you. So when they come through, it's kind of like your own oracle. You see this symbolism and you understand it, and it has a specific meaning to you, and it informs you about your life. So it's really juicy and really cool to do archetypal work of any kind. In this painting, what's happening, and I didn't know this at the time. Like I said, I had just started painting. So there's no, there wasn't a lot of conscious awareness of what was happening. I was just going with the process, and my life was drastically changing at the time. So I was just doing it, just getting through it. But what is happening here is water and fire are mixing together, and they're going through. So this eye is closed, and it means there's an inner vision, and fire is symbolic of creativity, the creative fire that lives within you. That's what the Muse guards and ignites. So the eye is closed on this to represent this inner knowing, and this inner, like, this being contains my inner fire, and it's coming to meet this watery aspect, the water and the flow of emotion. Water is often associated with emotions. And then it kind of comes down into the breath. And so this is the breath. And a lot of times our muses have messages for us. This represents letting go and trusting the melding of these two. And when I'm doing balancing poses, I love putting my foot right here where these two combine or meet with each other. But just surrendering to this process, and then just trusting and letting that flow through your breath, and just flow like air with no restriction or resistance. And also, there's a way to let this flow make music for you in your life. So that's what this painting is all about. And I'll show you really quickly where it lives, because my parents have a fairy corner in their home. And that's where this painting lives. So this is the Muse's home. And over here is a bunch of little fairy paintings, but this is where the Muse lives. If you are trying to surrender into a process that you're a little bit scared about, but you know it's the right thing to do, it's part of your journey to do this scary, risky thing, this painting and this archetypal energy is just for you. It's very playful. It helps you surrender to the play and to the fun in life, and to know that you're supported and that you got it. You can do it. Just get over your fear and just do it. So that is, if you are in a place of that and you feel what I just said in your bones, and you probably are, then this archetypal energy is for you. The intention of the Muse is surrender, and the mantra that is on the top of the mat is, in faith, I let go and trust the flow. And this is the Muse speaks. Do not let the splendor of the world scare you away, for there is no fun in fear. Let the world love you back, my dear. Surrender to the flow of the music that moves your soul. Let the waters of your emotions churn with the fiery passion of your visions and create a steamy breath that breathes life into your creations. Own this part of you. Relax, have faith, and let go. Find pleasure in your flow as it takes you to places unknown. For life is meant to be lived, not mastered or conquered. Release the fear and live, my dear. You got this. So that's the voice of the Muse. I love this mat for balancing poses. So I always put my foot, when I'm doing balancing poses, there is a place right here where the water meets the fire. I try to put my foot right there when I'm doing balancing poses. And it just makes me feel kind of fabulous. I don't even know how to describe how it makes me feel, but I'm just like, yeah, okay, I'm ready to do this because I'm right here, I'm ready to take off. And I love making eye contact, so I love to say the mantra and then make eye contact with this archetype as it's playing its flute. And I continue to do that. And I continue to say the mantra, and it helps me find the courage to just take that bold leap and do that one thing that I know I need to do, but I'm a little scared to do. It helps me get past my fear. And this mantra, when I say it as I'm going into a risky balancing pose or just something that I'm not sure what I'm going to do, I've had a lot of body issues. Almost every major joint in my body I've had debilitating pain with at one point or another. So my body remembers those injuries. And what I'm overcoming now is the old holding patterns from those old injuries. So whenever I go into a risky balancing pose, there's always a lot of tension in the places where I've had my surgeries or I've had a lot of chronic pain. I say this mantra to help release those places so that I can support myself more fully and not use compensation methods or compensation mechanisms to get through the risky balancing pose. And I say this mantra in my life when I'm doing that as well. All of us have coping mechanisms or compensation mechanisms to help us get through fear, right? So there's a way to flow through this where you can release that fear and you can release that tension and just surrender and go into it
being fully embodied and being vulnerable and being you, as opposed to going into it guarded and with your shields of whatever you do to kind of distract yourself from your fear while you're moving through something. So that's how I use it in my life. You can look down at the affirming gaze of the Muse and know that it's okay to surrender, and it's okay to even have a little bit of fun while you're doing all this, because that's what life's all about, right? So I hope that you have fun moving through your movement practice with your Muse. I certainly love this painting and have a lot of fun when I'm using it. Be well.